Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So I'm sure we can all agree that it's more than fair for me to talk about their image after they've bent over backwards every single day, and even at night, to try to take away from my image, to mock God, to try to make their group seem superior. Now, some people think it's the Jews who are doing it the most. Some people think it's whites. Some think it's LGBT. They're kind of mixed together, and all three of those groups of rich people, are the main ones doing it. It's a simple answer. So, when you look at the fact that I'm 44 years old, okay, and they're still persecuting me, and they're still consciously trying to take away from my image, and they're still fuming me and poisoning me, my goodness. We know for sure that when people see them and they get to know them, they must know that they're evil and that they shouldn't want to date them, they shouldn't want to reproduce them. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So this one I'm going to zoom in on white people, but whoever the shoe may fit, of whatever race. And especially Northern Europeans, right? Because here in America, they try hard to convince you that Germans and English people magically have better genes and so on and so forth. They try very, very hard to convince you of that. If you think about who lives where and why, who's associated with the vineyards and the estates, you think about the word clean, right? See lean, right? And that suggests kind of northern, tall. You say tall, dark, and handsome, but really in a white supremacist nation, it's more like tall, white, and handsome. But it's not as simple as these are the guys who are presented as ideal, but to a large degree they are. Okay, and no one buys it. Because quite often, if you're a shorter female or you're from a specific race, you probably prefer your race, right? And someone your height and so on and so forth, not someone so much taller than you. So again, this video is about why, English people, German people, rich Nordic people and other rich people have hopelessly lost almost all their appeal. Again, they've hopelessly lost almost all their appeal. That's the reality of the situation. And if you're going to hack somebody's brain, say 50 years from now, 100 years from now, or everyone's brains to the point where they can't tell the difference, then why take away from people's image right now? So I think we can all agree that in the next 50 years or so, next 20 years, okay, that they've hopelessly lost all their appeal, and they look worse from sabotaging people, not better. And saying stupid stuff that utterly disgraces their family, shows that they have bad genes, what have you, like, those individuals doing it, and whoever it may apply to. They say, well, after we're done screening people like you out, well, stop. Okay, that is some dumb, inbred, ignorant thing to say, right? That is so stupid. So obviously we know the people who are doing this are stupid. Now let's look at 21 reasons why. 21 clear-cut reasons why they've lost almost all their appeal. Number one is the concentration camp effect. Right? Can you just sabotage everyone? Control where they live, gentrify, redline, what have you. Okay? Coerce people, threaten people, blackmail people, bribe people, what have you. And then turn around and say, hey, look at me compared to the person in the damn concentration camp. I mean, everyone should know beyond a reasonable doubt that rich people look very bad right now, very bad. And they're very much like Nazis, to the point where Trump was like, don't compare us to Nazis. Who? And of course, it's him and his rich friends, for example, MAGA or otherwise, Republican or otherwise, right? Pretty straightforward. Point number two is the Tonya Harding effect. Can you sabotage somebody else, and have everyone know it, and then turn around and say, hey, it's just a sport event or this. They see it inside you. And they've sabotaged people who aren't in their groups, like in everything you can think of. Entertainment, sports, social media, dating, education, everything, business, everything. Social interactions in general. Point number three is the PSYOP. Okay, there's a lot of LGBT PSYOPs here in California and elsewhere, but it's, these white, Jewish, and LGBT and whitewash kind of Freemason PSYOPs that everyone knows are happening. Well, especially right here in California, oh my goodness, everyone knows that. It's something that people like play stupid about, and you'll get canceled if you bring up, right? Cancel culture is a big part of it, but everyone knows that PSYOPs are taking place to a huge degree, and everyone knows that you'll get canceled if you speak on it effectively as controlled opposition. Open and shut. Point number 4, the corporate saboteur effect. Everyone knows that corporations are full of bitches who sabotage people. Corporate espionage, corporate sabotage, workplace bullying. I mean, these are bad guys, horrible people. And the effect it has is people who are associated with them, who are associated as being too privileged and entitled to really be affected by it, to the point where, their group looks less than another group or something to that effect. Okay, everyone knows that they must be docked. They must be penalized in their minds for them to be a fair person. They must say, hey, those people do that, and I can't then turn around and say, hey, they're superior to this group or that group. Pretty straightforward. Point number 5, the oligarchy effect. You have people like Bernie Sanders going on and on about how we live in an oligarchy. Our democracy's threatened. Okay? That doesn't sit well with people. That makes the people doing it look really bad. And who are these people, right? People think whites, Jews, LGBT. This particular video is about whites with an emphasis on Northern Europeans, right? These rich white Northern Europeans, not the poor guy whose family is going to keep getting sabotaged, but these rich white guys who are like, look at me, I have shown up the mulatto top martial arts ever possible. Like when you think of these Northern European kings, we don't think they're as handsome as the most handsome mulatto king in Egypt. We don't. We don't think the average white chick from, Oklahoma is hotter than the average Filipina chick. Okay, it's that exotic effect. It's that really heartfelt effect. There's certain differences. I'm not trying to insult anyone, but I'm trying to help you understand why it's stupid for them to do this. And part of why I'm making this video, I wouldn't have otherwise made this video, if they weren't sabotaging people, especially me. So then they get called on it. That's part of the oligarchy effect and these other effects as well. Point number 6, the association with British imperialism effect, or the British imperialism effect. They said things like the sun never sets on the British Empire, or there are people all over the world groaning and complaining about empires abusing them. And that carried over. And boy, they look very bad when you look at the association. Point number 7. Quite often these rich people, you go to these certain areas where they live, Almaden, Palo Alto, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Malibu. Okay, they look like frat guys. They look like rich white guys, Northern European guys who are on a dock, on their boats or something. A lot of people think they look like idiots. Okay, they look like they're related to royals, right? Privileged, a false sense of entitlement, arrogant, narcissistic, what have you. But, if you remove narcissistic, you should see the association with the whole group, right? They're not doing themselves any favors, and they're not doing their group any favors. Okay, so often they look shady. And when we think of things like maritime admiralty law, right? The law of the high seas, a bunch of rich people with yachts and boats, and they try to sell, Her Majesty's Navy and the Spanish Armada, and so on and so forth. And they looted, and they plundered, and they raped, and they said, hey, what are you doing? Mind your own business. And they told people to back off while they pretend they're superior, why they're doing these horrible things, and everyone knows. Point number 8, the orientation effect. So who's doing what and why? So as you say you're a gangster and you step into the game and you're peeping game, as they say, or you're a female who's a gold digger at a martini lounge, or you're the average person walking down the street, you're looking around trying to get your orientation, right? You're trying to orient yourself. So what's going on here? What is it? What does it mean? What should I do? And so as part of that orientation effect is you notice a lot of things here. Point number 9, the censorship effect. You better not say this. Shut up. So what? We're doing that kind of effect. And it reminds me of when Prince Harry, he'd made a video, I saw it on YouTube, where he was saying he's concerned about what things his kids are going to see on the internet. He's a very privileged person, entitled. I put the word title in entitled. And he's saying he's on board, subtly and otherwise, with the censorship process in order for people to see things a certain way, especially his children. It was clear as day. Point number 10, the neo-colonial association effect. Man, there's so many reasons I'm right here. And what did an industrialist look like some decades back? What did these wig-wearing guys look like? Where did they live? How did they move? They talk about the Pilgrim Society, right? The Round Table Group, and they're alluding to these people who were there before, who were, colonists, who were part of colonialism in its various phases, including global colonialism. Okay, and so we see these associations, they look really bad, really bad. They look like they never got rid of their heart of stone and had a human heart that treats people fairly. No offense to anybody, but this has to be said so you understand why it's stupid to persecute me, why it's stupid to sabotage people all over the world so you try to look superior or better than others. It really does not work, and you're making it worse. That's why this needs to be understood, among other reasons. Point number 11, how much are they getting over and why? So as you look at the situation, say life is miserable. Well, how much are these rich people getting over and why? And you're forced to analyze them and they look bad. Point number 12, the somebody do something effect. People are screaming that they want someone to do something and say, who's not doing anything? You see all these rich white guys acting like, hey, that's not us. It's the Jews doing it. Or, it's the other party doing it. And you don't believe them. You don't. Point number 13, the Tiny Tim effect. We see them cutting snaps and stuff like this. See, these rich people get these tax breaks and they're like, oh dear, they never cared about the poor to begin with. So when they cut snaps, you're like, those people don't care. And there's some kind of privileged worms. Now there's a spectrum of how much they do care, but overall they don't because they would do something. Basically. 14, the ally of the thieves snob effect. So if you see like a regular looking white gentleman, right? In Sayamadan, and he's by his boat, whatever. He's not trying to offend anybody, but you know that he got that wealth because he's culturally the ally of the thieves who snob people. Okay, he's part of that culture. He's allowed to have that much wealth because of the system. So he's allied in various ways, in various senses, with the thieves who are snobs, who probably are his neighbors to some degree. Point number 15. The specific experience effect, right? People all have their experiences that make it clear that they don't have a lot of respect for these people. And again, you reap what you sow. If you want to look better, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, right? First do God's work. First obey God through me. Then you'll look better. There's no way to look good without doing that. So in this case, right, they're persecuting and censoring me. So my specific experiences include them persecuting and censoring me. Other people have all kinds of experiences, what have you. Some people have been raped by them, so on and so forth. Point number 16, the white Jesus effect. Why on earth would any group of people think it's a good idea to make a white Jesus, a gay-looking Jesus? You have that animation. Maybe I'll make that the main picture for this video. You have this silly kind of Jewish face, sort of gay-faced animation Jesus. Is like a mix between an English person and a Jewish person or something. And maybe some other things there. And it looks so stupid. The word animus means spirit in the word animation. So they're putting a fake spirit and a fake Jesus, right? The principles and the ideas of a fake spirit and a fake Jesus. And they're saying that's Jesus. And it makes these Northern Europeans look very bad among other people. Makes the LGBT community look bad. Makes Jews look bad. What have you. And the word image, right, is a play on words for image and game. They are losing their own game after all this money they spent on, after all the sabotage to the extreme. It's very stupid, very stupid. I'm glad I'm not following them. Thank God I'm not them. Thank God I'm not following them. Point number 17, the gold digger effect. Okay, no one likes a gold digger, and they probably don't like the people they choose, right? Point number 18, the why is she dating him effect, which I separate from the gold digger effect, because I want you to zoom in on these components here. You say, why is she dating him? Because she's selfish. She's evil, right? She is a dumb slut. She's an unfair slut instead of a fair maiden. She's fake. She's superficial. She's shallow. Okay? She's just some kind of narcissist. So you think these sort of things. Point number 19. Okay. The shallow golden boy effect. They're sort of like a fake square, right? You think square, you think, hey, they don't try to offend anybody. They don't sin. They don't break. They actually do sin. But we'll just call it the shallow golden boy effect. Okay? That's not the ideal. That's like, the false image of Christ. He's a shallow golden boy. We're not buying it. Point number 20. The see-through propaganda ideal effect, right? So they're trying to present it like it's ideal in propaganda. So that's a propaganda look. And it's see-through. That's not ideal. We call bullshit. Point 21. So I couldn't really read my writing, so we'll just call it the shady effect. As you look at the different types of people who are shady and what they're doing, these people don't escape our notice for a moment. Okay, as we look at them carefully, as we analyze them, as we estimate them, as we look at their females, okay, and we say their females wouldn't date a righteous person. They would only date these people. So as we then see them kind of as a group, right? A family unit, a couple. We see them that way. No offense to anybody. Again, this has to be said. If people truly understand that I'm right about this, they truly understand why it's wrong to be sadistic and why I'm right about this and it's wrong to be greedy, and that they should just stop, they would at least compensate me and work around me to mitigate the damages. And if they're really wise, they'll pass all those plans that I suggest that would end poverty around the world where it matters most. Thank you.